the need for high reliability becomes not just important, but essential. We now move into the second session for the day, driving high reliability, bridging digital standards, leadership, and clinical operations. Because true excellence in healthcare happens when technology aligns with standards. Leadership drives vision, and clinical practice delivers with precision and consistency. This session will explore how these clinical elements come together to create systems that are safe, resilient, and consistently reliable.
It's my honor to introduce our distinguished chairpersons, Dr. Sameer Mehta, Chairman of Mehta's Hospitals, a pioneer known for his commitment to clinical excellence and innovation. Also, we would like to welcome Dr. Lasya Thambidurai, Trustee, St. Peter's Medical College and Hospital and Research Center, Hosur. With such visionary leadership at the helm, this session promises to inspire us to move from systems that work to systems that never fail. Over to our esteemed chairpersons.
May I now take the privilege to invite our distinguished panelists for the second session, Mr. Avinash Pandey, Group Leader, Digital Health NABH QCI, Dr. Elaine, Chief Nurse, St. Andrews Nursing Services, Dr. Arjun Srinivasan, Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Joint Commission International. Over to our esteemed chairpersons for the session.
Hello. Morning. I don't see that much energy. I need a little bit more energy in this audience. Dr. Bhakta Bhaktchalam's awake. That's good news. Vijay, obviously you're awake. You were on the panel earlier. No choice. Carsten, awake? Right? This one's going to be quite interactive. So I hope you've got some cool questions ready. So the reason we're doing this is at the end of the day, a person comes to the hospital at a tough time, their most vulnerable moment for somebody they love, because they want a better tomorrow than their yesterday. It's as simple as that, right? If your tomorrows are not better than yesterday, we as a clinical institution or clinicians have failed in our number one obligation to our customer. And at the end of the day, the customers, in our case, it's not singular, it's customers, because there's a payer, there is an individual who is the patient, there's a customer group, which is the family that surrounds that customer that somehow manages to help with either the post-care, the pre-care, getting them to the hospital and looking after them post, and making sure sometimes the bills are also paid. That matters. So for healthcare, reliability is king. What is reliability? It's doing something and repeating it in a standardized manner so that the quality outcome tomorrow is better than it was the previous time you did it. Do you think we deliver on this? How many people believe we deliver on this all the time? Hands up, please. I kind of like see 4 hands up. I don't think we deliver on it. Because if you really improved your clinical outcome per customer, per moment, we wouldn't have complaints. Because already there are places across India, and many of our institutions are here, where the clinical outcomes are best in the world, are unbelievable class. Whether it's in eye care, I've seen Nirmal here, I've seen Arvind here, we've clearly seen Shankar Netralia, we've seen LV Prasad. There are so many Dr. Agarwals, you can keep naming it in one dimension. In heart, we've got an Apollo, we've got an NH, which is, to me, an unbelievable institution of excellence, and many of our other institutions here, and you can keep going down that. In pediatrics, you've clearly got guys like Mehta's, you've got guys like Rainbow, but we've got the older guys, Institute of Child Health, Child's Trust, and across the country, many Iswarya Hospitals that have done outstanding service, and you look at the clinical outcome, where tomorrow is better than yesterday per customer. We're not there. We are there per year in a group of customers. And I think that's what we hope this panel will address a little bit of, because I think for India to lead, we have to be better than anything else in the world that's seen. We're not copying the best of America. If you see the healthcare costs and their mortality and spend on GDP, it's not that much better. In fact, I think if we copy that model, we will fail. I think there are better models in the world. I think that's why our friends from ISWA, so for those of you who spend most of your time in India, please go and talk to our friends from ISWA and ASQA so that you learn some of the best practices that make your institution that much better tomorrow than yesterday. I think the other thing we wanted to understand in this session was clinician leadership. What does that truly mean and matter? And I think we're going to see a little bit of that and how digitization and technology is going to make a difference, because without that, India can't leapfrog anybody else. How many people believe here that our payment system is best in the world? Hands up. If you've traveled anywhere, you know your UPI is 10x better than everybody else. I was with Nandan last week, right? This is the person who architected that setup. They're now doing it for countries in Africa, countries in Europe, and countries in the Far East. This is unheard of. This is an export from India on core infrastructure that is going to the best in the West, where GDPR standards for Europe are much higher than anything we've seen anywhere else in the world, and they prefer India. Because they said, you have made a technology that works for us, that's low cost, and that solves our problem and is security for us in our country. That is where digital leadership, and we hope to hear about that from our first speaker, plays out. I've got a great panel, and with no further ado, we're going to have a 12-minute clock, I hope, and we're going to shoot off with the doc from NABH. I hope we're going to see a good introduction for him. If you can put his profile up, because he's a much more interesting person than us. And I think really what we want to hear about and see today, and we want questions from you guys, so ask some tough questions. Sunil, I'm looking at you specifically, and Pari next door, we want some really tough questions. I know you're not dressing up for a debate this year, but at least you can give us some hot debate on stage, right? So we have good expectations. And I think more than anything, I want to see some action, whether it's from you, Rama, or Madam Glory, we want to see some glory. Or Ravi, please ask some tough questions to hold us accountable so that tomorrows are better than yesterday for our customers and also for ourselves. If we don't make it better for ourselves, trust me, our kids will have more mental health issues. Our spouses already have mental health issues. We're barely at home. So I think, guys, let's make it better. And I think with no further ado, I'm going to have 3 rocks. The presentation, if you can hit. Guys, action. You can want me to speak all day, but I would like somebody to hit the action. Okay, Dr. Avinash Pandey, please. If you could put his background up, it would be useful. We'll start the presentation. So guys, while that's getting set up, it will happen soon. Please start the presentation. Tech team, we've got 3 very different speakers. We've got one talking first digital, around how does institutions digitize and move forward, and how is NABH playing a role there. Dr. Elaine, who is one of the most outstanding nurses that we've had the privilege of learning from. I got to relate with her, 10 years ago now? And all because of my dear friend Clara, who's hiding in the audience. Clara, raise your hand, please.
Okay, I think the presentation.
Go for it.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chennai. I think healthcare is probably one of the most complex and high-risk industries in the world. Unlike many sectors, even a small system failure can have life-altering consequences for the patients. This is why reliability in healthcare is not optional. I think it is essential. So today I will talk about how healthcare organizations can move beyond accreditation and become a high reliability organization, and how standards driven digital health transformation can enable this journey. So let me begin with a very simple scenario. A patient is admitted with a chest pain. The diagnosis is very clear. The treatment protocol is well known. The hospital may even be accredited. Yet somewhere in the process, perhaps a missed documentation, a delayed lab alert, or a communication gap between departments, the system fails the patient. Now, in healthcare, we rarely fail because we do not know what to do. I'm sure you will all agree. We fail because our systems do not perform reliably every single time. Now, accreditation helps us design good systems for sure, but the real challenge is ensuring that these systems work consistently for every patient and every time. Now, healthcare delivery is extremely complex. Hospitals operate with multiple departments, hundreds of workflows, and thousands of daily decisions. Yet, many processes still depend heavily on manual documentation and fragmented information. Now, globally, the patient safety data reminds us of the scale of the challenge. About 1 in 10 patients experiences harm while receiving hospital care, and more than half of this harm is considered preventable. Now, this tells us something very important. Improving healthcare safety is not just about clinical knowledge. It is about designing systems that perform reliably under complexity. Now, let me ask a simple question to everyone in this room. In your hospital, if the same patient is treated by 2 different teams on 2 different days, will the care process be exactly the same every time? Or will it depend on who is on duty, who documented the notes, and who remembered the protocol? Okay, so this variability is exactly what high reliability healthcare organizations try to eliminate. The variation in care, human dependence, and process inconsistency is exactly what the high reliability organizations try to take care of. Now, other industries, also face similar complexity and risk. Think about aviation, nuclear power, or space missions. In these industries, even a small failure can have catastrophic consequences. Yet, they operate with extremely high levels of reliability. Now, these are called high reliability organizations. And how do they achieve this? They achieve this through standardized processes, strong safety culture, continuous monitoring, and systems designed to minimize human error. And healthcare must aspire to the same level of reliability. Now, accreditation has played a transformative role in improving healthcare quality. Now, frameworks developed by organizations like NABH establish the foundational systems for safe healthcare systems. Now, they ensure that hospitals implement standardized clinical processes, patient safety protocols, governance frameworks, and accountability mechanisms. In many ways, accreditation provides the blueprint for safer healthcare systems. But there is an important distinction. Accreditation evaluates whether a system exists, whereas high reliability requires that the systems perform consistently every single day. Now, healthcare maturity evolves across 3 stages. First is compliance, where organizations adopt standards and accreditation requirements. Second is consistency, where the processes begin to be followed regularly. And third, the ultimate goal obviously is reliability, where systems deliver safe outcomes every single time, regardless of human variability. Now, moving from compliance to reliability requires more than policies and manuals. It requires systems designed for reliability. Even in accredited hospitals, we will still see process failures. Documentation may be incomplete, alerts may be missed, critical information may not reach the right person at the right time, and these failures are rarely due to lack of knowledge or intent. They occur because healthcare systems are complex and human dependent. Now, true reliability cannot depend only on individual vigilance. I am sure you would agree. It must be designed into the system. And this is where digital transformation becomes extremely important. Now, if we look at the journey towards high reliability in healthcare, it begins with standards. Accreditation frameworks developed by bodies such as NABH establish the foundational processes for safety and quality. But standards alone cannot ensure reliability unless they are embedded into everyday clinical workflows. And this is where digital health systems play a transformative role, enabling structured documentation, decision support, and real-time communication across the care teams. So once the care processes are digitized, healthcare organizations generate high-quality data. Now that data allows continuous monitoring, learning, and improvement. And when organizations continuously improve from data, they move towards what we call high reliability organizations, where safe care is delivered consistently for every patient, every time. So standards define what should happen. Digital systems ensure it actually happens. Now, data helps us continuously improve how it happens. Another question for everyone in this room, please. So, in most hospitals where patient safety issue occurs, whether it is a medication error, infection spike, or delayed diagnosis, how do we usually find out about it? Is it weeks later? Typically in a quality meeting, or months later during an audit? Okay, so high reliability healthcare cannot depend on retrospective discovery. Reliable systems, they detect risks in real time, and that is exactly what digital health systems enable. Digital health systems strengthen reliability in several ways. They standardize clinical workflows, they provide real-time visibility into patient data, they enable decision support alerts and reminders, they create audit trails and accountability, and instead of relying entirely on human memory or vigilance, digital systems support clinicians in making safer decisions. Now, one of the most important foundations of digital healthcare is structured clinical documentation. In many hospitals, documentation is still free text and inconsistent. Now, this makes it extremely difficult to analyze outcomes or identify the safety risks. So structured digital documentation enables better clinical communication, reliable analytics, and stronger quality monitoring. In simple terms, reliable care requires reliable data. Now, traditionally, many quality indicators in hospitals are reviewed monthly or quarterly. Now, digital systems enable something much more powerful. They allow hospitals to monitor safety indicators in real time. This means problems can be identified and corrected before they get escalated. Now, healthcare quality therefore shifts from retrospective review to proactive safety management. Now, technology alone does not guarantee better healthcare. If digital systems are poorly designed, they can even increase complexity. Now, this is why NABH digital health standards are essential. They ensure that technology strengthens clinical processes rather than simply digitizing the paperwork. NABH digital health standards help ensure interoperability, structured data, and safe clinical workflows. The future of healthcare quality is obviously evolving very rapidly. Accreditation itself will increasingly move towards continuous assurance rather than periodic inspections. Digital systems will enable real-time monitoring of quality indicators. Predictive analytics will identify safety risks before the harm occurs, and healthcare organizations will operate within integrated digital ecosystems. So coming to the theme of the session today, which is tech, touch and trust. Technology alone cannot create high reliability healthcare. Reliable systems require trained professionals, leadership commitment, and a strong culture of safety. Technology strengthens those systems, but trust emerges when technology and human compassion, they work together. They align strongly with the theme, today's theme of tech, touch and trust. So let me close this, with a thought. Accreditation has played a transformative role in improving the healthcare quality, but the next chapter in healthcare quality is about building high reliability organizations. Organizations where safe care does not depend only on individual heroics, but is built into the system itself. Standards provide the blueprint, digital transformation provides the engine. Together they enable healthcare systems that patients can trust. Reliability is not a luxury, it is a moral obligation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avinash Pandey, for such a detailed presentation on patient quality and how digital standards will help us have reliable healthcare and patient safety is also taken care of. Next, we have Dr. Elaine, a Chief Nurse from St. Andrews Nursing Services, for her presentation. On to you, ma'am.
Hi, a very good morning to all speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to be with all of you in this prestigious conference. This is not just a presentation, but a sharing leading with trust and Contagious You is a call to action. It's a call to lift up our leadership as a daily act of influence. We are leaders not by rank, but by the way we lead, inspire and trust. A contagious presence become a light drawing others toward purpose, hope and unity. Right. So, what is trust? We know that a strong culture of trust is critical foundations for all organizations. Trust is the invisible currency that fuels every relationship in leadership, team, or family.
family. However, research reviews show that high trust companies actually outperform their competitor by almost 300%. It is not just about business, but it's also about culture. Trust is a culture as well as value. Without trust, there's no innovation, no risk-taking, and no real progress. We want our organization to be the choice for our patients, our doctors, families, and even our employees. I applaud the organization for choosing this very meaningful conference theme, Touch and Trust. So is trust a skill that can be learned? The good news is, yes, it can be learned and developed. What comes to your mind when we talk about trust? Trust seems abstract, but it's like love. Once you experience it, you'll know it. According to Stephen Covey, trust is the current new currency. It is the number one leadership competency, the one thing that changes everything. He said that, according to him, the first job of any leader is to inspire trust. And the good news is trust can be measured too. In his book, he talked about the framework that inspired trust. For thinking about trust, common language to increase trust, and also the process for deliberating trust. So Stephen Franklin said that it's important for all leaders to meet trust as an implicit objective, and this four core reliability must work in tandem. The tree symbolizes trust as something that grows from deep root, comprises of character and competence. The first core is about integrity. It does not only mean honesty, it means walking the talk, being congruent inside out, and having the courage to speak out the truth and challenge the status quo. The core number two is deal with the issue of intent. This has to do with our motive that derive our agenda and our behavior. Motive is why of doing something. From our motive, we develop our agenda, and trust grow when our motives are good and based on mutual benefit. The third core is about capability, the expertise and competency that inspire trust. And the fourth core is our track record. We all know that our reputations go before us. We can increase the speed of trust. The key idea is simple. Trust drives performance, and when performance is high, work moves faster. Trust is built on two pillars, characters and competence. Character is who you are, and competence is what you can do. On the right-hand side, there are 13 behaviors. These are the behavior how trust show up in action. Therefore, trust is built through our character, proven through our competence, and demonstrated through our daily actions. The 13 behavior must be consistent, and we don't just build trust, we can accelerate trust. Why trust matters? We know we are in a healthcare system. Patients and family trust their life in our hands. So it's very important to have trust in the system. When there's trust, when trust is fought, people feel safe to speak up, share ideas, and also admit mistakes. Trust creates safety, foster collaboration, and build resilience. We trust ourselves there to raise incident issue to us without having the fear of being punitive. What makes us different? Because we are in healthcare, we live with empathy, integrity, and accountability. Our culture set us apart from other industries. People feel safe, heard, and valued. And it is a cornerstone for sustainable relationship, as well as it will leave a lasting impact in our organizations. Trust is a foundation of long-term, meaningful connection, enabling open communication, mutual respect, and shared growth. The importance of trust. Stephen used a metaphor of an emotional bank account. He said that every positive interaction is like a deposit into our bank account. Any negative interaction is like a withdrawal from your bank account. So trust takes many years to build, but takes forever to mend once it is broken. So have you heard about trust equation? In the trust equation, there are 4 objective variables, 3 numerator, credibility, reliability, and intimacy. Is credibility talking about the words? Reliability is our actions, and intimacy is our emotional connection as well as safety environment. So if all these are high and with the self-orientation means less self-focus, our trustworthiness will increase. There is a phrase time will tell, which means consistency over time. With trust, it affects the quality of every relationship, every communication, every work project, every business venture, and every effort. So every single encounter counts. Do you know what is most contagious? If I ask you this question, you'll tell me bacteria and virus. But let me share with you, our leadership behavior, attitude, belief, action, and perspective can be contagious to our team. If you walk into a department, you see that the leaders are very positive, the whole team will be very vibrant. Our emotion, feeling, or attitude is likely to spread and affect others. So your leadership power is contagious. Without trust, influence diminishes, according to Vanessa Hall. So let's take a minute to reflect. Do people really trust you? In the book Contagious You, it mentioned that you can be contagious too. Regardless of where you are in your career, how you show up matters. Your intention, energy, and presence as a leader set a tone in creating the culture. So in this book on contagious, in this first book, she talked about contagious culture, which inspire leaders to transform their workplace culture. In her second book, Contagious You, it focuses the leader role in living and leading this change. Wow, what's happening? So, simply to put it, Harvard Review also talk about the 3 elements of trust: build positive relationship, good judgment, expertise, as well as consistency. So good leadership is contagious. It all begins with you. Harvard Review show that employees working in a high trust environment have 74% less stress, 76% more engaged, 50% higher productivity, and 70% more aligned. Okay, I left you 1 minute. Let me quickly share with you a story about this person, Monica. Monica was 18 years old when her life changed in an accident. A train accident took away both her hands and she was admitted in a hospital with prosthetic hand. But the hand got infected. So at the age when life began, she has paused. In 2017, she found hope again. She was listed for hand transplant. But in 2019, her father, the only sole breadwinner, passed away, and her dream felt impossible again. So we ask ourselves this question: what did this mean truly to care? We listened to her. She wished to have a new hands. We prepared her emotionally because she was afraid of getting infected again. We prepare her physically, psychologically, and emotionally. We protect her, minimizing every risk. So we choose to support her beyond just medical care. So in 2020, we received an organ transplant alert from Global Hospital, and in the middle of the COVID, across the distance between Chennai and Mumbai, a race against the time began. At 11:30, Monica was taken into surgery and had 16 hours of surgery done. What matters most to her at that time, she was unable to afford for the surgery. But at that time, the decision was made to go ahead to do the operation without the money. This was a decision made by the CEO. After the surgery, she needs to go for rehabilitation, but she has no money. So we employ her to become patient care coordinator. So from patient, she became our colleagues. So this is not just a story about transplant, it's a story about trust. A young girl who trusts strangers with her life, and a team who choose to care not just the skill but with the heart. Because in the end, we don't just restore hand, we restore hope and trust. So this is what she does in our hospital. For all the work that she does, we help to improve her soft motor and gross and motor skills. And this is what she said: the light that is growing in my hand has given me new life. I will take it forth to spread the light to many more lives. So thank you for your kind attentions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elaine, for such an important topic. Now I'd like to have Dr. Arjun to present his presentation, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will skip several slides because I know we're short for time and we need to get through quickly. I would like to make the case that accreditation and high reliability are not separate entities, but rather they are complementary and synergistic. Accreditation supports the implementation of those best practices that help us provide safe care, but high reliability then embeds those policies and practices into a system that strives towards error-free care. We know that there are a number of challenges with implementing high reliability in healthcare. The chief challenge, of course, is that every patient presents a huge variety of unknowns and variability in response, which makes high reliability in healthcare very different from industries like aviation. However, we also know that when we implement high reliability in healthcare, it can be done and it leads to impressive results. As one example, Joint Commission International has been working with the Singapore Ministry of Health on implementing high reliability on a number of institutions across the country, and you can see that they have achieved significant improvements in their safety culture, but more importantly, significant improvements in clinical impact, reduction of harm through the implementation of high reliability. When we think about high reliability, there's oftentimes a myth, an ethos that surrounds high reliability that people think it's impenetrable in healthcare. It's too complex, too challenging. We can't implement high reliability. But I think if you break high reliability down into its components, what we find is that this can be very doable in all healthcare facilities. We think of high reliability as 3 domains where change is necessary. And if you can focus on those 3 domains, you can make progress towards high reliability. And those domains we define as leadership commitment, safety culture, and performance improvement. And within those 3 domains, we have 4 approaches that we take when we work with healthcare facilities on the journey towards high reliability. And those are strategic planning, quality planning goals and targets, dashboards, and communication strategies. And I think when you see these strategies, what you realize is that this is inherent into the work we do in healthcare safety and quality. So there's not a myth here. These are not things that we cannot do. They are things that we do every day where we have the skills to move towards high reliability. So I'll end with a very brief case study of what high reliability looks like in practice. And this was a high reliability journey that Joint Commission took with a system in the United States called Harris Health. And this is a system that's quite large and serves a population that does not have much insurance. They serve a very poor population. And this quote from their CEO, I think, really summarizes what I would like everyone to take home about high reliability. He says, upon initiating the journey to a high reliability organization, it soon became evident that there is no standard way to become a high reliability organization. And what that means is that there are multiple approaches. There is flexibility in how we make that journey towards high reliability. These are the types of things that Harris Health implemented, and these are all strategies that as quality experts, all of you implement every day in your facilities. So the tools that you need to get towards this journey of high reliability are inherent in the work that we already do. We simply need to organize those tools and embed them and push them with leadership towards building a high reliability organization and a high reliability culture. When we implement high reliability, these are the impacts that they had at Harris Health. You can see significant benefits, just like we observed in Singapore, tremendous benefits from high reliability. And I know we need to wrap up here, so I will close. And just say that high reliability is not an end state, it's a mindset. It's a system that is constantly striving towards error-free care. And I do believe that accreditation and high reliability can work together synergistically in order to help us deliver that care. Accreditation takes us towards policies and practices to provide safe care. And high reliability then embeds those policies and practices in a system that strives for error-free care for every patient, every time. And I will close there and turn it back over to the organizers. I want to thank CAHO for giving us the opportunity as Joint Commission International to be with you here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists, for your time, your presentation. I think we've touched on important topics, that is reliability in patient care and how it's important that digital transformation, leadership, that is the workflow, and also the operations merge together so that we're able to bridge this and give high reliability in patient care. And just to connect what we were hearing, the three important topics, it's important that these three sync together so that we're able to achieve what we can achieve here. So I think we don't have time for the Q&A, we're running short of time. So as I said, thank you so much. We'll take the questions offline. I think three speakers are there. So we would like to end the session. Thank you very much.